Hey everyone, in this video we're going to be discussing the top 10 greatest NBA draft number 1 overall picks of all time. So with that, if you're new to my channel, like, subscribe, comment below, do all that good stuff. Let's go ahead and dive right in. And of course, when measuring the greatest of all time in any category, we have to look at the metrics we're going to use to rank, in this case, players that were the number 1 overall pick in the history of the NBA draft. And generally speaking, teams that have this pick are not very good, and they need they need a player to completely impact the franchise, help them change trajectory, help them get better. And if they have a huge impact on that franchise that drafted them, I think that is the most important feature in terms of what we're looking at in greatest of all time in number 1 overall pick. Now, what is then the greatest thing to help a franchise or organization? And that's to win a championship. So if they won a championship, they got a ring with the team that they drafted them, that is a huge plus. What more can you ask for when choosing your number 1 overall pick? And then, did they play most of their career with the team that drafted them? I think that's very important as well. And kind of everything else then matters. Overall career, their stats, how well they played, their accolades. But again, not as important as the other features when looking at the greatest number 1 overall pick of all time. So let's go ahead and at least give some honorable mentions for the future of maybe individuals that might be on this list. And of course, it's Victor Wembanyama, and of course, the newly number 1 overall pick in 2025, Cooper Flagg. We'll see if they actually make a list in the future. But hey, that are two players that has a lot writing on their individual teams that drafted them. That's the Dallas Mavericks and the San Antonio Spurs. So now moving on to the top 10 here, let's go ahead and start with kind of a tie because we have a 10A and 10B, because both in a sense help their franchises a lot. They're probably the most popular player in their franchises, but neither of them unfortunately won a ring. So let's go ahead and start with 10B or 10A, however you want to say it here, and that's the answer, Allen Iverson. So he is from Georgetown. He was the number 1 overall pick in the 1996 NBA draft for the Philadelphia 76ers. Played 14 years in the league, and in those 14 years, he was able to really bring the culture, bring the popularity back to the NBA in Philadelphia, albeit he did spend some time in 2007, 2008 with the Denver Nuggets. Then he moved to the Pistons. I don't even remember him with the Pistons. And of course, he ended his career in Memphis and then went back to Philadelphia and retired as a 76er. So, his stats are great with 26.7 average points for his career, 3.7 rebounds, and 6.2 assists. All these players that I'm going to be mentioning are a part of the NBA's 75th anniversary team, so the top 75 players named from that anniversary there. But he was a 2-time All-Star MVP. He was Rookie of the Year, 7-time All-NBA, scoring champion 4 times, still champion 3 times. And of course, I think all of these players also are in the NBA. So absolutely, Allen Iverson deserves a spot, or at least a mention in the 10A, 10B feature in terms of best number 1 overall pick of all time. The 10A or 10B, the tie here goes with Patrick Ewing and Allen Iverson here. And of course, Patrick Ewing, same college, Georgetown, both from Georgetown here, was drafted by the New York Knicks in the 1985 NBA draft, was able to play 17 years, albeit he did spend 2 years with 2 teams. I, again, don't remember that he played for the Seattle Supersonics or the Orlando Magic. That's where he ended his career. So 15 out of the 17 years he played with the New York Knicks. 21 points, 9.8 rebounds, and 1.9 assists. All defensive 3 times. He was Rookie of the Year. And 11-time All-Star, Hall of Famer, part of the 75 anniversary team. All the accolades here, again, very similar in terms of popularity in New York, and then here in Philadelphia, Allen Iverson, probably overall more popular in his generation. But Patrick Ewing was a part of the New York Knicks, and New York Knicks being a franchise that has a rabid fan base. But throughout the late 80s and early 90s, he was able to be the centerpiece. However, he did play in the Jordan era and was not able to get any rings. Neither did, of course, Allen Iverson. So coming in at the number 9 spot here is Elgen Baylor. Elgen Baylor, some of you youngsters out there might not remember Elgen Baylor because he was drafted in the 1958 NBA draft by the Minneapolis Lakers as the first overall pick here. And of course, that team turned into the LA Lakers, the Los Angeles Lakers, as we know it now. He was from the College of Idaho and Seattle University. He played 14 years in the league, and he played all with the Lakers. So, of course, that longevity with one team does really matter. And his stats are incredible, right? 27.4 points, 13.5 rebounds, and 14.3 assists. All the accolades we talked about before. He was also Rookie of the Year, and one of the all-times. Especially back in the late 50s, early 60s, Elgin Baylor, Los Angeles Lakers. Unfortunately, he did not win a ring, but he was a staple of making sure the Lakers were relevant before, of course, the Showtime Lakers came about in the 80s. Coming in at the number 8 spot, so that was number 9. Coming in number 8 spot is the Big O, Oscar Robertson, Mr. Triple-Double himself. He came from Cincinnati to the Cincinnati Royals. So the Cincinnati Royals picked him as the number 1 overall pick in the 1960 NBA draft. Of course, the Cincinnati Royals is now today the Sacramento Kings. And he played 14 years in the league. However, he spent most of the time in Cincinnati, but did not win a championship. And then he went to Milwaukee and won one there. So he doesn't get the bonus of winning a championship with the team that drafted him, but he did get a ring in his career. And of course, Mr. Triple-Double has incredible stats here in 25.7 points, 7.5 rebounds, 9.5 assists, 3-time All-Star MVP, 1-time overall league MVP, was an NBA champ, like I mentioned before, 6-time assist champion. A lot of great accolades, as you can see here. So Mr. Triple-Double, Big O, coming in the number 8 spot. I one of the best players of all time as well. So coming in at the, so where are we? 10, 9, 8, 7. All right. So coming in number 7 spot might surprise a lot of individuals. And that's because he's one of the GOATs, right? So Kareem AbdulJabbar, the captain himself, can easily be in the top 5 of most people's GOATs list, right? 6-time NBA champion, 6-time MVP, 2 times final MVP, 15 times all NBA, 20 years in the league. However, right, he was from UCLA. He was drafted by the Milwaukee Bucks. And most people know Kareem for playing with the Lakers, but he was with the Milwaukee Bucks for about 5 years and won a championship there. Of course, he was drafted in the 1969 NBA draft. Numbers are fantastic: 24.6 points, 11.2 rebounds, 3.6 assists. He averaged, I think 3 to 4 blocks a game. He was 4 times blocks champion. He was Rookie of the Year. Just all the accolades here. Again, one of the best of all time, if not, at least one of the best centers of all time, right? There's definitely a little argument in terms of who's the best center of all time, but man, Kareem has all the accolades and the numbers and was one of the most dominant players ever. And again, he's in this spot here because he only won 1 championship with the Milwaukee Bucks, but he did win 5 more with the LA Lakers. So coming in at I'm always forgetting the spot here, coming in at 10, 9, 8, 7, in the number 7 spot, Kareem AbdulJabbar. The next one might get some individuals upset because he has a lot of fans as well, and that is coming in 6th, not even in the top 5 in the number 1 overall pick of all time. He's the only player that I have on the list here that's still active, and that is LeBron James. LeBron James is always in the discussion of being the goat of goats for NBA players. He's unfortunately not mine. Here, right? Jordan is still number one on my list, but you can't deny the accolades. You can't deny the career of LeBron James, King James, or chosen one, whatever you want to call him. He came right out of high school, and he's been playing 22 years. 23 years will be his next year. He should continue to play. And was drafted by the Cleveland Cavaliers as the number one overall pick in the 2003 NBA draft. Why is he so low on the list? Not even top 5. Well, as I mentioned before, what is the impact with Cleveland? Now, he did spend a big chunk of his time playing in Cleveland in the beginning, making to a bunch of finals, didn't bring a ring, then went to the Miami Heat, won 2 there, then came back and won that elusive NBA championship for the Cleveland Cavaliers back in, I believe, I'm trying to think what year it was when he won, but it was his second, his homecoming in the Cleveland Cavaliers when he won his ring there. So that is where the impact there. He's still considered the greatest Cav of all time, but he didn't spend all of his career there. And of course, currently right now, he's with the Los Angeles Lakers, won 1 ring there as well. So 4 rings overall, but 1 with the team that drafted him, which is the Cleveland Cavaliers, and still one of the greatest of all time. Some people say the greatest of all time. 27 points, 7.5, 7.4 average, fantastic. And yeah, definitely deserves a spot. Most people might even think he's higher than this, but again, with my metrics talking about the team that drafted him, he didn't spend all his time in Cleveland, and that does provide a little bit of some marks off on his illustrious career total wise, which is fantastic, right? One of the best. So that's coming in number 6. Let's go ahead and move on to the number 5 spot. So top 5. Basically won multiple titles for the team that they brought them in as number 1 overall pick. So coming in at the number 5 spot is going to be James Worthy. So James Worthy was from UNC, that was drafted by the LA Lakers in the 1982 NBA draft, and played his whole career with the Lakers, all 12 years. Now his stats aren't very high, 17.6, 5.1, and 3. But he was a part of 3 NBA championships. Now, do I ding James Worthy for not technically being the leader or the individual that actually took this team to the promised land? Well, he did. In a sense, he was Finals MVP 1 time, so you got to give him credit for that one. But he got the other 2 with other leaders involved, but still a Hall of Fame career, one of the best, Lakers, at least, say top 10, and definitely in the top 5 of number 1 overall picks because of those 3 NBA championships with the Lakers and spending his whole career there as well. So maybe a surprise to a lot of people for James Worthy here in the number 5 spot, but I think his accolades do matter. And the Iceman, the big game James Worthy, is the number 5 in number 1 overall pick of all time in the NBA draft. Moving on to the top 4. The top 4, again, multiple championships for the team that they brought them in. And then coming in at the number 4 spot is the Admiral himself, David Robinson. He was a part of the U.S. Naval Academy, and then the San Antonio Spurs drafted them in the 1987 NBA draft. Played 14 years, all with the San Antonio Spurs. And also won 2 rings there. So scoring champion, rebound champion, 2-time NBA champ, all defensive, all NBA, rookie of the year, MVP 1 year. Again, all the accolades like everyone else. He had great stats here, 21 points, 10.6 rebounds, and 2 assists. Was block champion from 91-92. And again, all 14 years with the San Antonio Spurs and bringing those 2 great championships along with it. Again, you might say, well, was he the best player? I think he was on at least one of the titles, even though he didn't get Finals MVP. but still, those two are very, very beneficial that David Robinson did spend his entire career in San Antonio. So, yeah, coming in number 4 is the Admiral, David Robinson. Let's go ahead and move on to the top 3. So, number 3 and number 4, I think you can switch them out, flip flop them, right? So, David Robinson and the Dream, right? So, Akeem Olajuwon, for me, is the number 3 spot in terms of the number 1 overall pick of all time in the NBA draft. So the Dream here was from Houston in this college, and then went to the Houston Rockets. So much like the Big O in Oscar Robertson, Cincinnati to Cincinnati, he went from Houston to Houston, and that was in the 1984 NBA draft, one of the best drafts of all time. Played 18 years, 21.8 points, 11.1 rebounds, 2.5 assists, 3-time block champion, so he had a lot of blocks in his career. And interestingly enough, I don't remember him ending his career with the Raptors. I don't know about you guys. In 2002, Hakeem Olajuwon ended his career in the Raptors. I just the tail end of these individuals' careers that they leave to another team, I just seem to forget. So anyway, he was MVP of the league. He won 2 rings, albeit Jordan retired at that point in time, so he saw the opening, took advantage, and got those 2 rings. So the other superstars could have tried to get it, but the Dream ended up getting those 2 rings while he was gone, and of course then Jordan came back and dominated again. But yeah, I would say he is another center that can be definitely argued as one of the best of all time. But for the Houston Rockets, probably one of the best, if not the best, Houston Rocket of all time is Akeem the Dream Olajuwon. Moving into the top 2, these 2 individuals won multiple rings for their team. And number 2 spot here is Timothy Theodore Duncan. Tim Duncan, the big fundamental. He was from, of course, Wake Forest, chosen by the San Antonio Spurs in the 1997 NBA draft. And it's amazing, the San Antonio Spurs got David Robinson and Tim Duncan, and both of them played in San Antonio for all of their career. And in this case, Tim Duncan for 19 years with the Spurs, which is absolutely incredible. 19 points, 10.8 rebounds, 3 assists. Finals MVP 3 times, but NBA champion 5 times. That's where he's up at a different level than everyone else on this list here, right? So Akeem had 2, David Robinson had 2, where Tim Duncan did help out. James Worthy technically didn't lead all his either. LeBron only had 1 in Cleveland, so you kind of go, okay, we're at 5 here for one organization. This was a dynasty that Tim Duncan was a part of, along with, of course, his other teammates. But he, even though wasn't a vocal leader, was a pivotal player. And as you can see, again, 3 times Finals MVP will show you that. So, yeah, all 19 years with the San Antonio Spurs. Coming in number 2 is Timothy Duncan. But of course, the number 1, I would say everybody would agree this is the number 1 individuals. It's not even a discussion, right? And the number one overall pick of all time in the NBA draft is Earvin Magic Johnson. So Magic Johnson came from Michigan State, was drafted by the Los Angeles Lakers in 1979, and started the Showtime Lakers. This here, I would even say, this draft pick may have saved the NBA, right? The NBA wasn't really in a good shape at that point in time, but within the Lakers versus the Celtics, with Magic versus Bird, all the hype, all the Showtime Lakers, all the cameras are ready to go, and just really uplifted the NBA. And maybe without Magic, Bird, we might not even have the NBA to where it is today, right? Solid stats here in terms of 19.5 points, 7.2 rebounds, but 11.2 assists. One of the highest, if not the highest, assist average of all time, right? But again, just like Tim Duncan, he brought 5 NBA championships to the Lakers, 3 NBA Finals, just like Tim Duncan, but he was also 3 times MVP. And again, like I mentioned before, I think saved the league. So it's hard to compete with that in terms of legacy. And for me, is the best point guard of all time as well. There's a little conversation about that, but we can maybe discuss that in another video. But yeah, coming in at number 1 without a doubt is Magic Johnson. So let's go ahead and dive into the breakdown here. So breaking down here is 10A, 10B, Allen Iverson, and Patrick Ewing. Then you have Elgin Baylor at number 9, Oscar Robertson at number 8, Kareem AbdulJabbar number 7, LeBron James number 6, James Worthy number 5, David Robinson number 4, number 3, Hakeem the Dream Olajuwon, Tim Duncan, Mr. Fundamental himself number 2, and then Magic Johnson number 1 overall pick of all time. Let me know if you agree, disagree with me. Tell me what your thoughts are. How would you rank them? And with that, if you're new to my channel, like, subscribe, comment below, do all that good stuff. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you in our next video.